And welcome back to the Legal Law channel, where we discuss everything about law. Today we're going to discuss the directive on the application of patients' rights and across-border healthcare. So as you know, Irish hospitals, other hospitals, they're very full and they're at high capacity. But did you know there is a cross-border directive under EU law that you may be able to receive healthcare from another EU member state, as after all, we are EU citizens. So you can ask your doctor about this, you can ask your specialist about this, and you may be entitled to seek medical treatment abroad. The HSE can reimburse you. That's for persons with medical cards or persons on health insurance policies. So you may want to look into this. As I said, it's not legal advice, it's just our medical advice. We're just going to explain what the directive means. So I do suggest that you consult your GP or your specialist. Now, I would direct you to look at the EHSE website, and it does say, so we're going to go through it now, and what it says is treatment abroad scheme. And the content is currently being reviewed, it says. But anyway, the treatment abroad scheme covers the cost of planned treatment in another country in the European Union, European Economic Area, United Kingdom or Switzerland. And it says the treatment must be within Irish law and either not available in Ireland or not available in the time normally necessary to get it in Ireland. Eligibility for the TAS scheme: you can only apply for the TAS if you're ordinary resident in Ireland, you live in Ireland and intend to live here for the last 1 year, you have a public hospital consultant in Ireland, which he must refer you for treatment. So they do not accept referrals from GPs or self-referrals. So you must have a specialist referral. So also you must assess and confirm approval of your application before you can travel for treatment, and your consultant must confirm that you need treatment abroad, that the treatment is medically necessary and will meet your needs, and it must also be a proven form of medical treatment, not an experiment or test treatment. It must be in a recognised public hospital or other public institution run by a registered medical practitioner. So any EU member state, I suppose, that is a registered hospital. I know people that have gone to Spain and it has been regarded as an acceptable hospital. The hospital must accept the treatment abroad scheme from the EU form E112, also known as the S2 form. And if your consultant wants to make a referral abroad that does not qualify for the scheme, this is a matter for the consultant and the referring hospital. Now, what is covered by the scheme? Well, the HSE says in their website, the amount we cover depends on the treatment required and the country you travel to. So travel expenses is not really covered. So the TSA does not cover expenses for travel, accommodation or food. But they may assist with reasonable basic air or sea fares where appropriate, and if the patient is under 18, needs assistance when travelling for medical reasons, they said they will consider providing travel expenses if they approve their application. So when you're applying for the TS, the treatment abroad scheme, consultant must be currently treating you. He must assess you in the 2 weeks before your application, base the application on the medical opinion. They cannot complete the form at the request of someone else, and the application must include a copy of your consultant's referral letter addressed to the consultant abroad. A letter must have specific details of the required treatment, the details from your consultant in Ireland about your condition and the requirement treatment in the application form. So, well, the directive, what is it? Well, the directive on the application of patients' rights in cross-border healthcare, it's set out in 2011-24 EU, and it regulates the access of EU citizens to healthcare outside their home member state. So therefore, it's a directive mainly orientated towards the patients. And what does the directive mean? What's the content, I suppose, of the directive? Well, the directive regulates patients' rights, financing or receiving healthcare treatment abroad. Now, it's a cross-border health service given, and if the person receives the treatment is outside of his or her member state, or the service is delivered across borders within the European Union, that's telemedicine or remote diagnosis. So the healthcare is also considered as a cross-border if it is executed by mechanical professionals who temporarily or permanently outside the member states of residence. So what does the directive set out for these regulations? Well, it sets out the reimbursement of the treatment costs. And the insured person can receive all treatments abroad to which he or she is entitled in his or her own member state. The insurance companies have to reimburse the cost of the treatment abroad to the usual cost in the home member state under Article 6(1) subsection 2 of the directive. Now, this is a clause in the directive. It's not me specifically giving advice on this. It's the directive itself that says that you have to be reimbursed for treatment abroad. So you may want to look into that with an EU lawyer, or if you need further legal advice, go to the legal professional. Certain treatments. However, the member state can still decide which kind of service will be reimbursed. So with the HSE, like I said, you may wish to get prior authorization before you seek medical treatment. So it is advisable that you consult with your medical professional also, and they can advise you accordingly about such treatments. Now, I know some of these weight loss treatments as well, you can talk to your professional about that, and some of them are covered by the medical card scheme, the cross-border directive abroad. But again, I talk to your healthcare professional. Now, authorization for treatments abroad. There are 2 exceptions to the general rule of not needing prior authorization. So a prior authorization for the treatment abroad is needed if the treatment requires a 1 or more night stay at the hospital. Prescriptions is an EU thing, and that's under the directive also. And it educates us that prescriptions should be accepted EU-wide. After all, we're EU citizens. So the directive states prescriptions should be accepted EU-wide if they were issued by a doctor from an EU member state. The Commission drafts a form from a prescription which should be accepted EU-wide while impending counterfeiting Article 14. So, therefore, it does state that an EU prescription is a prescription that could be changed anywhere in the EU. That's what the directive means. So, under the European Union Cross-Border Healthcare Directive, you are eligible to receive care in world-class facilities with your medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. So you don't need to be on a waiting list, nor do you need to have private insurance. But as I said, you just need to get prior authorization from the HSE, consult with your GP, see if you're entitled to this. So it's just an educational tip of this directive is something you can look into further. So now, under the European Union Cross-Border Healthcare Directive, you may be eligible to receive care in world-class facilities with your medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. That is Directive Rights and Cross-Border Healthcare 2011/24 EU. If you wish to look at it further, you can check it up on the EU law website or the EU Commission website. So I hope you found this information and educational lesson on the directive useful. As I always say, it's not legal advice per se. It was just educational because the people should be informed that these directives, EU laws in place to protect us all, and we should know about these healthcare directives. So do subscribe, click the like, check with your HSE, check with your specialist, and if you need legal advice further, well, go to a legal advice expert like a solicitor. But I do recommend that you talk to your practitioner, ask them about the treatment abroad scheme. So it's good, and there's some helpful knowledge to know that it is a possibility under EU law that you can get treatment abroad. So hope you enjoyed today's video. The next video we are going to talk maybe about junior doctors or doctors working hours conditions in EU law, what rights would have, because after all they are the backbone of our health service. Nurses as well included, they have intended to go on strike, so we're going to have a look and see is there any directives or what would their rights be under EU law, and we're just going to have a general discussion, educational as always, not legal advice. So that's all to look forward to. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Take care.